We are back. Aquarian Anarchy, back at it again. Let's go. Bro, I just swished that from half court at the buzzer. That I did not have the quote pulled up, but I hit it right before the video ended. Our quote for tonight comes from Benjamin Tucker. It has ever been the tendency of power to add to itself, to enlarge its sphere, to encroach beyond the limits set for it. And where the habit of resisting such encroachment is not fostered, and the individual is not taught to be jealous of his rights, individuality gradually disappears and the government or state becomes the all in all. So, I know we've been away for a minute. We apologize. I don't know what happened. Like we started this show in the middle of the magic virus lockdown period, and it was like really easy for us to all be on the same page and like have all kind of time. Shit's gotten real. Like people who are willing to do stuff, like me, Marcus, and Nicco, we're getting pulled in a million different directions. So we're not always like completely available on a Wednesday night or a Tuesday night or whenever the case may be. I know Marcus had a little bit of a rough day yesterday. We won't go into detail, but like I'm glad you're doing better. I'm glad you're on the mend. But if you're okay with it, I would like to start things off tonight. I don't know a whole lot of people were completely aware of what went down a week ago tonight, but I got to finally in person meet the one, the only Nicco in person at Wrigley Field in Chicago. I was there for a work conference, and that's one of the reasons why we didn't do a show last week. Is because I was completely incapable of going on air and doing a show, and we all had different things going on and everything. So, but I just wanted to say, like, y'all have no idea how much cooler Nicco is in person than he is even on here. And I know he's pretty damn cool here. So that's saying quite a lot. And even though he's a White Sox fan, he had he had a Greg Maddux jersey on at that game that I was very, very jealous of.
Wait. Can we also explain? Can we also explain that somehow God blessed me with a miracle hat signed from the sky?
Oh, bro, that was crazy. So at the game, they have celebrity guests or whatever that do the take me out to the ball game, and I like you may not know this particular actor from let's see, let me anyway, so they do this typically at Wrigley Field where they bring a celebrity guest conductor of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and they have, just, I don't know, it can be like a coach from Notre Dame or the Bears offensive coordinator or, whatever, or some comedian or something like that. It's been Eddie Vedder. It's been like all kind of, Bill Murray has done it. Well, not just Bill Murray, but also, let me pull it up here. Hang on just a second.
Murray Rothbard?
Oh no, not Murray Rothbard. that would be quite the pull off if you were able to get Murray Rothbard to sing it.
Right, you'd have to get a necromancer first.
Considering he's dead. No, but Joel Murray, who is the what is he? They say he's the youngest of the 9 Murray siblings or whatever. He's Bill Murray's brother. Anyway,
didn't he play in
he's been in a bunch of stuff, but there's some of his movie credits there. He was in Dharma and Greg. I didn't know that. God Bless America. Shameless. Yeah. So, Beethoven. That's where I remember him from mostly. But anyway, he's not Bill Murray. He's Joel Murray.
Dad, right? Like he's
been on some of those. Like that's what I'm saying. He's on Beethoven and all that stuff. Well, anyway, so Joel Murray was the guest conductor of Take Me Out to the Ball Game during the 7th inning stretch at Wrigley Field during the Cubs game last Tuesday night. And as he's finishing up the song, so this is the craziest part. So I'm at this game with my boss, and the whole thing is supposed to be like Nicco's just supposed to come and chop it up I just wanted to get to see him in person. He's supposed to come meet with us and everything. Well, the client that we were supposed to be entertaining canceled on us. They had like a dinner that they did with their corporate group or whatever. So I've got a ticket, and I'm like, Nicco, you want to go to a baseball game? And my boss was cool with it. So Nicco came and sat with us. Well, Joel Murray, after he's done singing the game, had signed a hat, had autographed a hat, and just threw it out of the booth into the stands. And guess where it landed?
In Nicco's lap.
Pretty much.
Basically. Nice. I have young man knees. So, pause. I have young man knees. So I was able to bend down real fast.
Whoa.
Hey.
And pause. Pause with the bending of the downs as well.
But anyway, but yeah, so there it is. There's the hat, the infamous hat right there. So, and look, to show you that I wasn't bullshitting, Nicco, I actually have that hat that we were talking about. This is this is the Wrigley Field scoreboard clock hat that I didn't bring it with me, but I was telling them about it. It's really cool because it has so this is the time of their day games, most of the time 1:20 p.m. Central Time. So anyway, I have that hat. I did not wear it to the game. I wore a regular old, Cubs hat. But yeah, that was cool. It was a really good experience, and Nicco acquitted himself very well with my boss. We were on strict terms to not discuss certain things in front of my boss. Yeah, not get too anarchy, and too hotepy. But we were just friends who met over like a group chat. That's how we kind of described it, which is actually true. But I didn't tell him that. Yeah, Nicco and Marcus and I host an anarchy show.
Check it out.
An anarchy show on YouTube on a weekly basis. Yeah, so I make sure to not have this interfere with my work. So I don't feel like I would be in any trouble, but it's just you never know. We talk about some stuff on here that it's you got to be careful.
Look. Not too PC. You feel me?
Right, exactly. Yes, we don't do the PC thing very well, and that's kind of so bringing that all full circle. That's kind of the topic of tonight, right? Is that there's this this constant tug of war between
it's called the PC agenda.
Yeah, the PC agenda and the anti-PC agenda, and how those two things can be a very clever and a very effective tool at manipulating people and getting people to fall off of the path they're supposed to be on and get pulled into some traps. So let's get into it. Marcus, this was kind of your idea to have this in the midst of all the DeSantis, Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, however you pronounce his last name. I think it's Ramaswamy, but I make it
Ramalama Ding Dong.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so let's get into it.
So yeah, and speaking of ramming the Lama Ding Dong, we've been dealing with this onslaught of leftist agenda for a very long time, and I've been saying for years now that's kind of a distraction, and the reason is because I believe that they're not going to bring true tyranny to this country from the left. I believe that they're going to bring it from the right, and I think that all of this is just kind of setting it up to happen. I also want to kind of give a little bit of a disclaimer to start with, because we're going to hear me and probably these other gentlemen talking about the right in this particular one quite a lot, in the problems that the right has and all of those things. Some of the concerns that they have, though, that the right has about the trans agenda, about the gay agenda, about all of that stuff is founded. And I don't want people to misunderstand that we're saying it's okay for some drag queen to whip his dick out in front of a little girl. Right. That's just not cool. And regardless of what the agenda is, it's uncool. And that's kind of where this gets its start. And what I kind of wanted to start with is I just kind of have noticed over the past couple weeks that I'm starting to see that, and it's beyond words. I'm seeing the right being mobilized in a backlash kind of fashion where you see the Bud Light stuff coming out, and that just their company's tanked, and there's very little they're going to be able to do to save it. I think
Target's in trouble too.
Target's in trouble.
Thing. Ford came out with an ad where they have a trans flag truck that they're
and also not Ford's just that, trouble. But the Target situation where it was inside the kids, the kids area. I haven't
designed by a Satanist, I might add.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, isn't that where majority of the nice shit come from?
Right. Well, I mean, hey.
so you can understand why the right's like, holy shit. You know, and so what's going on is that they're going to use the right, in my opinion, has begun and is going to continue. And you can see this through both DeSantis and Trump. They're going to start using this to spread power to the federal government. They're going to use it to, you want us to, and DeSantis has already showed that he's more than happy to do that with what he did in Florida with Disney. Again, I'm not saying that Disney didn't do anything wrong. They did. They have forever. This isn't something new. But DeSantis politicized it, and what he did was enlarge the power of the state of Florida in order to combat that. The people,
and that's there's plenty of people who are all too willing to cheer that on, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, but you got to look at Florida, how it is, and like instead of being a red state, they'll be like, "Ooh, let's do it," because you got Disney popping up doing some of that goofy shit, and then it's in the middle of a fat ass red state. Yeah, good luck, good luck with that.
Right. Yeah. In my opinion, that all of that was, thought out. He was the guy that they knew that he was going to be running for president. And I don't like DeSantis, just to be clear. If I had to vote and my only two choices were DeSantis and Trump, I'd probably shoot myself. But beyond that, but really, I would choose Trump over and over and over again, because at least with Trump, we know what kind of statist he is. Whereas with DeSantis, he was a JAG officer at Guantanamo Bay. That's all I fucking need to know about that piece of shit. So, but they knew what they were doing. They knew that they're absolutely driving up the fervor and violence of the right and pointing them not only at trying to get this stuff taken care of, but we'll cover some other stuff in a minute. But look at your crime in your area too. Remember, that's being done by the Democrats. The Democrats are pushing light on crime stuff. Why do you think they want to do that?
Well, they're pushing light on crime and also tough on crime, like at the same time. It's like this weird sort of backdoor, like, hey, look over here. Don't look at this. It's and then you see DeSantis coming out saying he wants to repeal the First Step Act. And it was funny. I called in on HJ's show today, the Grift Report, and I was talking about how that at least with Trump, we get like a grift extension. We had our grift contract kind of truncated over the last couple of years. Like, it was the times were good on the timeline when Trump was in office and when Trump was on Twitter and everything. As soon as they kicked him off Twitter and ran him out of office, like the grift has dried up. And there's only so many times you can talk about Biden drooling in his ice cream, and it's actually funny. Like, with Trump, it was like
consistent.
A
it
new,
was very consistent.
It was a different whack-a-mole grift every day. Yeah. Like, there was something funnier or weirder, or it was bizarre, off the wall kind of stuff. I actually kind of miss the press secretary for Biden. Like, she hasn't been as prominent in the news lately, but she was good. Both Psaki and the Jean-Pierre or whatever,
right.
Your sister Nicco, I think she's Jamaican. Actually, I think she's Jamaican. She's not Haitian.
It's cousin. right, look,
My bad.
She's extended family,
Hey.
motherfucker.
All right,
All right,
apparently all black people look alike to Chad now. So-
No. That was more of an Islander thing than it was
Yeah.
a racial thing. It was I was mistaking her for
I miss peppermint
a Haitian
patty. I'm with
sensation
you.
like yourself. But no. So what I think is funny too is that it's been like too easy of a setup. Like one of the things that's been really telling to me is to watch, and granted, like I don't follow a whole lot of leftists, I will admit. However, what I don't see a lot of is I don't see a lot of these people that we follow, that we run in circles with, that are on the right or right-ish, right of center, libertarian, liberty, freedom-minded, I like to think we follow a lot of free thinkers who recognize the GOP for what it is, recognize the DNC for what it is, and they don't like either one, and they're trying to pull the people who could actually do something out of the mud of this quagmire of stupidity and into like, okay, let's actually do something that's meaningful and can actually accomplish some of the shit that y'all claim to want to accomplish. So recognizing that, what I see is every video about Drag Story Hour, every video about Dylan Mulvaney, all of these tweets and all this, it's all coming from people on the right. Like I talk to my wife about this a lot, where she'll worry about stuff and everything. I'm like, listen, let's not pray to the worry gods.
Right.
Let's pray and let's worship the things that are worthy of that. And a lot of this stuff, they're not going to like to hear this, but if you're posting 3 Dylan Mulvaney videos a week, you're worshiping Dylan Mulvaney in your own way. If you're posting a bunch of Drag Story Hour things, or you're posting another thing about some dude who has hair and makeup on or whatever, and you're like, look how disgusting this is, you are worshiping that on a certain level.
Absolutely.
You might not want to hear that, but that's what's really happening. And so I have decided I'm going to take a step back, and even like with Men of Order, I've had to have this conversation with some of the guys there. I'm like, look, we can do all this like cracking on non-trad women and cracking on the blue-haired, Berkeley
like
fat chicks and all this kind of
hey,
stuff.
Now, she ain't fat.
No. I'm talking about the Berkeley weirdo. You know what I'm talking about? The UC Berkeley crowd.
Yeah. I'm just
right. Like we can make memes about them all day, or we can just post some videos of dudes doing really cool dude stuff.
Right. Instead of feeding into the fire,
we can just. And so I'm like, no, Cam, send me some more videos of y'all chopping down trees and putting out forest fires. That's what I want to see. And so we've done more of that lately, and it's. I want to be more inspiring. I don't want to spend all this time like just looking at my enemy and crying about it. Like, what the hell are you? This is your idea of like of doing something. This is you. What is that old saying? The only way that evil succeeds is when good men do nothing. Well, I'm sorry, but just talking about the evil all the time is not equivalent of doing something.
It's not doing
right.
anything.
And to go to both what HJ has said before and what Sonny Johnson has said, that the GOP does nothing but follow what the Democrats tell them to do. It is just following down that line, and this is more of that. This is in to a more sickening level. And I want to say, I don't care who somebody's in bed with. That's their fucking business. I don't care. You do you. I don't care. You do some other dude. I don't care. I don't want my little girl to see it. I don't want. And to be clear, for those people who are like, well, but what about men and women? I don't want her seeing men and women fucking either. I'm not trying to see a bunch of this stuff with little kids. I've got grandkids that don't need to see that shit.
Facts.
You know?
They don't need to spend time thinking and being curious about it when they need to learn more reality of the world, opposed to something that they don't need to worry about reproduction in any format.
Right.
Like a child should not call, like when you're explaining some math, you don't gotta say Jerry is married to Jerry and they're making some. No, you just Jerry and his homie decided to go down to the store and get some bean pies. Damn it! So like why add any more context? Why is there any sexual context when it's like being brought up to kids? That shit just does not make any sense.
I don't know, but Nicco, you just brought me back to Wrigley. 2016, we're sitting up in the Wrigleyville rooftops, and this dude, yeah, this is a funny joke. He goes, what do you call Patrick Fitzgerald and Gerald Fitzpatrick?
The Fitzpatrick bros? I don't know.
Two Irish gay guys. Anyway, no. But when he said it, he was like Jerry and Jerry. Anyway, whatever. But no, it's this reactionary sort of this. It's too easy. It's too obvious. And the worst part about it is this is the part where it really bugs me. Is that I'm seeing some people, like people who I respect and admire, some people who I think are good people and who I think their hearts are in the right place. And you watched what happened over the last 3 years and you saw how they responded to some of the tyranny that came over the last 3 years. And now they're starting to turn into those same kind of tyrants, just on a different item on the menu of tyrannical, pick a side items, So, okay, you're anti-abortion. Okay, so you want to what? Like you want to put people in jail? You want to give them the death penalty? Like what is the and I've heard people saying they want to wood chipper people who do stuff to children. I think it's terrible if people do stuff to children, if they whether it's molestation, rape, any of that stuff. All that stuff is horrible and evil. But what we have to recognize is that these are human beings who are under some form of like demonic possession or derangement or something like that. Right. There's something wrong. And a lot of this comes from wounds that they've had. They may have been molested when they were a kid, and it goes. You keep tracing that stuff back.
It trickles all the way back to the top, so you can't blame.
Yeah. So if we're not God, then where we end up is, and I was explaining this because like Cyprian Van Armani, he quit Twitter like permanently. He's not going back on Twitter. Or, well, at least that's what he says now. Like, I don't know, 5 years from now, a year from now, he might change his mind or something. I don't know, but he has said that he's left permanently. And it's because there are a lot of these libertarian, anarchist adjacent type folks who have recently been part of this big wave of a move towards Orthodox Christianity, who are they have the Orthodox crucifix in their bio, in their name on Twitter or whatever, and they're talking about throwing people in the wood chipper I'm not, again, back to what you were saying, Marcus, this is not me saying it's okay for them to diddle children and we should give them some children to diddle or anything like that. This is what I'm saying is, if you are not Jesus Christ yourself, you are not God, you are not in the place to be judge, jury, and executioner for other human beings.
Absolutely.
We owe it to the souls who are tormented by demons to allow them an opportunity for some sort of redemption, some sort of healing, something to take place that doesn't. Otherwise, what the point that I make with this is, if we look at degeneracy and we say, okay, there's degeneracy, so what we need to do is to free the world of degeneracy is we need to murder all the degenerates. Well, now all that's left is murderers.
Right.
That's not degeneracy.
Right. It made the list. You know, when God was writing shit down, he didn't say don't diddle kids. Now again, don't diddle kids.
I did,
but he didn't say that. He said don't kill folks.
Right.
On top of that, if you think about it, if it was every sin, God
the
would
kid
be like,
diddling thing probably falls under that adultery part.
Oh, you too. You just sinned. Oh, yeah. God would be zapping us out the sky like left or right.
But it goes back to this. So like, what does degeneracy? What does that mean? What does the word degeneracy mean? There is progeneracy, which is like creation, life. It promotes life. It promotes the propagation of the species. It promotes growth and beauty and like a creativity that involves like the combination of the other things in nature and us and those things in nature and themselves and each other or whatever. Degeneracy is the cycle of death that destroys and degenerates.
Correct.
So if our response to some people doing some bad stuff that is degenerative is to actually take them out, we're degenerates too. So you have to be really, really careful and not fall into that trap. And this is where I gotta bring this thing up. I found a way to like make it a little bit better visible. This is called the Ladder of Divine Ascent. This is an icon that's prominent in like, again, in Orthodox Christianity. And it's kind of funny because there's some people who purport to, be part of this, this faith, and they don't recognize that. So that these little black figures here, no offense, Nicco. No, I'm just joking. No, but
technically, these are black people.
Yeah, well, these are like this is
brown.
This is black and black.
That's right.
Not dark, not brown. Yeah. But anyway, so these are demons here, okay? And then these are people climbing the ladder of divine ascent toward heaven, toward their heavenly reward, their divine union with God and all that. Well, I'm sitting here moving the cursor like y'all can see it. I can see it. You might not be able to. But anyway, the ladder that you see people getting pulled off, they're getting pulled off to the right, they're getting pulled off to the left. The demons don't care. They don't care if you get pulled off the ladder because you diddle kids, or if you get pulled off the ladder because you kill somebody because they diddled kids. Either way, they're rejoicing because they got another one.
Right.
And you don't go to your heavenly reward when you participate in that stuff on either side of it. So it's up to us. This is just me speaking. I think it's my responsibility for me to pray without ceasing and to repent as much as I can and to ask for God's mercy on me for all the things I've already done and all the things I am still doing, because I continually fail. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to keep asking for grace and mercy. And that's all we can do.
I don't gotta be perfect, but I don't gotta be a murderer either. You feel me?
right, for sure. I can try to stay on the positive side.
Shit, you feel me?
Yeah, right.
It's easy, but it's very difficult to kill somebody. Just letting y'all know that. So it's like it's easy to like take life for granted, and not you thinking of another person's situation, and that's where people fail to like really like pick up on is that all right. We kill all the people who done diddle it, but like, how did they mentally get there? Like, let's think about it. A child isn't racist until they're showed like really prejudiced things and things to like really be ingrained in them. So if somebody's out there doing some really strange shit and like they're just minding their business, quote unquote, it's just another day of life for them. But how the fuck did they mentally get so messed up to think that every day of life is a nice tangible reality to live in?
Right. Yeah, and it isn't just to the religious side of stuff, although I agree with everything that Chad said. This isn't how you run a society either.
Hell fucking no.
It's not that I don't believe in, because I'm telling you right now, if you try to hurt my little girl and you're coming into my house that moment, you're going to get the death penalty. So it's not like I don't believe in that, in killing somebody.
There's stopping an imminent threat. And then there's,
right.
after the threat has been neutralized, saying, you know what, that's not good enough. My vengeance and my wrath has to be satisfied.
Right. But, God in the Bible says, vengeance is mine. He didn't say vengeance is Chad.
Is yours.
Vengeance is DeSantis's. Vengeance.
Right. Oh, but there's plenty of people who think vengeance is DeSantis's.
Right, for sure.
They want to give him the. Oh man.
We're supposed to love one another. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to forgive. We're supposed to. Now, we aren't instructed to forget. Trust
and forgiveness are not the same thing.
Correct.
I can forgive you, and I can keep a side eye on you.
Right.
There's two different. I'm still gonna be watching because I don't know if you were sincere when you apologize.
Right.
And you might not have even apologized. I can still forgive you even if you don't apologize. But I'm not gonna trust you. You're not gonna babysit my kids.
Hell fucking no.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I've got a perfect story for this. All right. So my son Raven was he was probably about 15, I'm thinking, and we were at a religious thing, right? And I have a weird religion, so it was a weird religious thing. But the priest happens to be a gay guy and a friend of mine. I'm not going to say what he was or what his name is because of the story. But we're all over at his house. This is me, my friend Michael, my wife, and my son Raven is, he's standing there. And I'm trying to read, but
anyway, don't worry about that. That's sure. You just keep going.
So my friend, so anyway, it's after the religious services, and we're all sitting around talking and bullshitting, and the priest is 3 sheets to the wind. He got drunk, and he is a Christian, just to be clear. So this dude, right? So we're just all talking, and I'm not paying attention, but he's talking to Raven, right? Mm-hmm. And he starts directing Raven to the bedroom. And Raven has no idea. He's like, he's 15, innocent as can be. And he's just talking to this dude, right? Who is my friend, who he's learned to trust, right?
Oh, wow.
So Michael sees what's going on. I'm busy talking. Michael sees what's going on, and he starts.
Michael, for everybody who doesn't know, Michael is about 5'2" and about 120 pounds. Not at all.
No.
Michael is a gigantic human being.
Yes. He's a very large human being.
He's like 6'3" and I don't know.
I'd probably say about 6'1", but yeah, he's.
Is he? Okay, I thought he was taller than that. I thought he was a good bit taller than me. Maybe not. All right.
No, but he is a large dude. And so this dude the priest starts directing Raven into the bedroom, right? And Michael goes, Raven, no, come on back, buddy. Well, at the time, when I found out, you can imagine, I was infuriated.
Yeah.
But he was drunk, and I forgave him. Would still forgive him today. Would I let my kids in his house alone? Well, hell no, because I'm not stupid.
Right.
At the end of the day, yes, we should forgive people. People make mistakes, especially in a situation where they're inebriated or they're not in the right mind or whatever it is. But that does not mean that you put kids back into that situation. So again, these are things that we need the grace of God to help us work out, not some asshole with an agenda, which is what we're moving towards. We're moving towards people who want control, who want to they don't believe in religion either. They have devoted themselves to, and they're using religion to get a hold of your money and get a hold of your freedom and have command over you. That is what they're doing. That is what these people who are in Congress are doing. And if you want proof of that, if you want proof that the right, if you will, is not all that concerned about your freedom, remember how well Rand Paul did last time he tried to run for president? He was the best fucking freedom-centered person they had in the GOP at the time, I would now say it's Thomas Massey, who also is not running for president. If they wanted real freedom change, if they wanted to move that needle, the direction of freedom, Donald Trump and DeSantis would not be their candidates, but they are.
Yeah.
So, but it's not just that. Go ahead, Chad.
I was going to say, can we tap into this thing? Because I think he's talking to me, but he addressed it to you. Says, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, but what about the non-Christians? What do you tell them? Tell them, why would you trust the state enough to let them kill people? And that's kind of where the other part of this. So like, I think that we are in like that. Everybody needs to come to the realizations that Ephesians 6 is like actual, real, true stuff, that like we battle not with flesh and blood, but with powers and principalities, and that the flesh and blood that pisses us off does so because just like we are constantly like bombarded in a spiritual warfare by like evil spirits trying to get us to do evil shit. And to the extent that we can guard ourselves against that, we sometimes succeed, but to the extent that we don't, and there are a lot of people who are like they're in deep. They've got some really bad I've been in positions where I've developed some really bad habits, and I can be like really impatient and really bitter and those kinds of things. Some people, their bad habits involve them being very like I don't know, sexually deviant, let's just put it that way, or very, they have a very thirsty appetite for some weird shit that eventually involves like kids or something like that, and there's something wrong, there's something off. And so so when you get to this point where it's like, all right, so what about the people who don't believe that stuff? How can you still get through to them that like, hey, wielding the sword of Damocles is like a big burden to shoulder. That's why it hovered over him, like threatening to kill him in the when you read the story of Damocles, like the sword of justice is like hanging above him, like ready to fall and kill him if he doesn't balance perfectly between this kind of right and left virtue and vice.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say I'm not a Christian, and for many people, I would be considered pagan. I actually am not a monotheistic, but I get lumped in with a bunch of pagans often, and so I'm not a Christian. And the answer to that is Christianity does not own goodness. And, for one, Jesus was a Jew. He was not a Christian. He started off in the Jewish religion. The Jewish religion is based on Canaanite religious system, which is a pagan system. When they got that information from there, in the answer to how do you convince them, you just talk about ethics. Yeah. The thing is, morality is having goodness of the soul. So that implies a religious belief. Ethics is goodness of the mind. It's thinking good things. It's thinking things that are good for humanity. So what I would suggest is that what we need to do is remedy people of their disease of statism, because that's the most harmful and most dangerous religion on the planet. And it's leading us right towards total annihilation. So what we need to do is not, although I'm pretty fluent in religion, I can speak that language pretty well. But if I'm speaking to somebody who is either an atheist or an agnostic or somebody who just doesn't really know what they're talking about, I shift. I don't talk about godly stuff. You'll notice that often Chad will talk, I just did it minutes ago. Chad will talk about a religious topic and I will pivot and talk about something that's more secular. And the reason is because Christians, I think Christians get a good book. They got a damn good book that teaches them a bunch of good things.
A fire ass book.
Right. And yeah, go, that works for them. But you're right. For people that aren't religiously inclined of any kind, we need another way. And what you do is people don't need to be told murdering people is wrong. I'm sorry that.
Well, even if you just speak about it from the standpoint of, and I'm not even talking about like karma, because even that you get into something where people are like, I don't believe in karma. But no, you could just be like, all right, so here's the thing. There's this big apparatus that you're happy that your people are in charge of it because now they can trample your enemies with it and make you more powerful and more free with it. Except that they added a bunch of new gizmos to this big apparatus, and they made the apparatus more powerful. They added some horsepower to it, and they had all this. So let me just ask you this, just on a purely materialistic frame of reference. What happens when your enemies get a hold of this apparatus?
Right.
Are you worried about how you have empowered this apparatus once it gets turned on you?
Right.
It's the same thing that I tell, because sometimes you'll hear a woman, she'll be like, I need to get a gun because I don't feel safe. I'm like, all right, so first you need to go train with somebody else's gun at a firing range and take some classes for about a year before you need to have a gun in your purse. The last thing you need to do is, if you don't know a damn thing about a gun, is go get one and put it in your purse, because you're probably going to shoot yourself or hurt somebody else or something. I mean, look, we saw
caused a lot more harm than
people
what
were
you
cheering.
intended.
Yeah, there were some people who were cheering. Some of the 2A community who, like, I call them like the clueless 2A community, was cheering when this woman shot somebody in the Home Depot parking lot because he was running off with some of Home Depot's stuff. Like $1,000.
Got insurance.
That's
Fuck
what I'm
that.
saying. Home
What
Depot
are you-
got insurance. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I was told the first thing.
Popping off about to smoke a random citizen in the parking lot over
if
some
somebody's
fucking
stealing
washer and dryer
something,
sits.
especially from a mega corporation, them motherfuckers got insurance.
Dude.
Don't risk your life. Don't risk anybody else's life for none of that, because they're going to write that shit off and it's going to be right back in their shelves like by tomorrow.
Everybody want to be the equalizer on TV and shit. Like, it ain't like that.
Right. And I'm telling you what, we where I work is right next to it. There's a Walmart right next to where we work. Like, we share a parking lot with a Walmart. And so one morning, this dude, this is like last week, and I got some fun work stories when we start talking about a couple other things. But anyway, this dude comes running out of the Walmart with a cart full of electronics, just running. And we can see him on the video. He just runs across the train, puts the cart behind it. Walmart ain't trying to do shit.
No, Walmart don't even care about their own stuff. Like, why are you worried about it?
Right. One of our people go back into Walmart with the shit, and they're like, hey, do you want our cameras? We got him on camera. Do you want? And they're like, no, we don't care. Security doesn't get here till 9. So, hey, if you want to rip off a Walmart, go before 9.
That just goes on the loss prevention claim. That's all.
Right.
It is. Speaking of Walmart, let me give a shout out to my man Jay Bev. What's up, man? I say that because I actually ran into him in person at Walmart, and he's just like, "Hey, Chad," and I was like, "What?" Anyway, throwback to the time I met Six Book in the Walmart parking lot, just randomly out of nowhere. Every time I go to that Walmart, I think about you. Pause.
Loving
anyway.
you. Romance in the Walmart.
No, it was not romantic. It's just cool. It's just cool to see a fellow anarch out there.
Oh, for sure.
But
for sure. He's a good dude too.
But no, so that's it is. I know I go off, I get in my bag because I really do believe that this stuff, a lot of the stuff that we see, it's very easy for us to see other human beings as the embodiment of the evil that makes us angry and that gets us upset and that frustrates us or maybe even hurts us sometimes. but we have to recognize that like even that is that human being, that flesh and blood, and that soul that is inside that flesh and blood is a victim of the same evil energy and spirit that is doing harm to them too, is tormenting them. And that's what causes some of that stuff to happen, because I know, like, I can see it. Like, I know what I want to do. I know who I want to be. I know how I want to act and interact with people. And I fail. Like, it doesn't matter if I say like, all right, I'm going to be more patient and I'm going to be more respectful. Like, I'm going to pop off. And it's only when I am more and more aware that I have to fight some of this other stuff off, and I need help with that. So I get it that I can get into that bag, you know, because that's like very important to me to fight against that and to try to help other people to see that, because it's been helpful to me to start turning that around. Because you remember, Marcus, I was twisting in the wind, and thankfully you were there to remind me to not like abandon everything that I, you know, grew up believing.
All your values. And
well, not just values, but like the faith itself and some of the,
that's important.
Some of the parts of that. Yeah. So, and I have taken a little bit of a different path, a little detour off of that original path, but I'm still, it's close enough to it.
Everything's about evolution, my boy. Even if it's not the proper form of evolution, you got to evolve, even with the bumps and grooves, to see how you can even better your certain situations.
Well, so then you go back and look at it after you've gone through it, and then you realize how some of even those mistakes helped get you where you are. So
actual factual.
It's big time. But I do recognize that we also have to be able to make this stuff make sense to people who that's still a little bit too much to swallow right now.
For sure.
Because there are a lot of people who are just like, whatever, bro. It's not, you know, and we had like when Amaterasu Solar was on here, like, love her, like her energy's great and everything. But like when she said, like, I've never seen any demons, but I have seen some people. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, because demons are formless. They don't. You can't see them.
They're ethic.
But what you saw was what happens to someone when they're under the influence of demons. Right. And some people have embraced it, and that's why we see some of the real evil shit. Is some of those people have like willfully been like, nah, man, this is cool because I get superpowers from this shit.
No, we could just break it down to layman's terms and say spirits. And whenever somebody starts to drink up, you're inviting nothing but demons.
Yep.
So it's like once you black out, that's full possession. You go bye-bye and your body go haywire. You're still moving, but you don't know what the fuck is happening.
All of those little things in your conscience and everything else that your connections. It's like you have your antenna is tuned right into the source material, and you just spin the dial. Like, all right. So I like to have a drink, you know, but I'm very careful not to get, you know,
obliterated.
So so far gone that like I don't even know, I don't have any control over myself anymore.
Well, even Aleister Crowley suggested that people, and he's famous for being a heroin addict, just to be clear. But he suggested to people to know your limits. What he actually, one of the,
I thought you were going to say to know your nipples. I don't know where we were going.
That too. He'd probably be all about that. Right. But he would part of the curriculum of the AA, which was one of his orders that he was a member of. He actually founded the AA. But one of the things that he instructed people to do is know your limits, so that when you know you could say drink, and you would test it, find out where you shouldn't drink anymore. Maybe it's 10 beers, maybe it's 8 beers, whatever it is for you, where you have lost. Yeah, I don't either.
That's already way too far.
But we're talking about Crowley. Did I mention the heroin?
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, where is the limit on heroin? Like, it seems like it's like it's binary, right? Like, it's right. Do you have heroin or do you not have heroin? Because once the answer is a 1 instead of a 0, you are already too far gone. Like,
I would agree with you, and I've never done heroin. Have no desire to do heroin.
Good on all that goofy shit.
Me too.
But he managed. I don't know. He was, but he was a little bit different than most people.
I mean, but you got to think back in the day, they were. I believe personally, majority of the geniuses that are out in front of us all did some crazy shit. For you to be able to think that expansively, you have to alter your consciousness in so many different forms and formats for you to even be able to even conceive some of the ideas that they have. All the motherfuckers were junkies on something, but it was something.
Right.
So
my point was that he even because he was really excessive on a lot of things. Even he taught that you need to find your limit and don't exceed it. He even taught that you should have, limitations to your excesses. And he was an excessive person. And nobody would argue that. And so if he's telling you, yes, you should have your limits, then you should have your limits.
What was his no.
Okay,
what was his standpoint on what you should do to people who diddle children?
Crowley probably would have been on the wood chipper side, just to be clear.
I'm guessing he would, and that's where I'm like, because there's a lot of stuff with him where I'm like, I don't know that some of the stuff he was talking to wasn't the bad guys.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Where it's like
there's no doubt
he was mainlining some demonic shit and
he worked the Goetia thoroughly.
Yeah. So
no doubt.
I try to stay away from that. Like I'm more and it's crazy because like just in the last like 6 months, as I have more and more like read about people who were like tortured to death and never gave in. I think about that and I'm like, all right, so I hear a lot of people even professing to be Christian, or they're professing to be something else or whatever it is. But there's a lot of the stuff that I'm not sure that they're not being led around by the nose by something else, because when it involves you enriching yourself or you having things go your way and kind of being, and this is where like some of the atheist folks kind of, I'm like, man, y'all didn't, the thing you're rebelling against is like a fake faith in God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're not even, you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater, because the people who were trying to sell you bathwater were like selling you bathwater with like acid in it or something, or it had some weird shit in it. Because I get this vibe that like if things, basically like if I'm a good Christian, good things are going to happen to me. And it's like, I don't know, because I know about some like really, really like some literal saints, like people who are like, they have appeared to people and stuff like that, and they were tortured to death. And before they, I know, right? This is just telling you that what I'm telling you is true. Like the light of God is shining. I know. Father, forgive me for the pride. That was not. I was just joking. But anyway, no. So, but if you think about it, like some of these people, like before they were tortured to death, they were like living in the desert on purpose, eating like every third or fourth or seventh day.
Right.
And they were all about like, I am nothing. And anything that makes me feel pleasure, I feel like I'm withholding something from God, because I can't give God anything but the least I can give him is everything. And that's their mentality. And then when they're offered like, hey, it's okay, we'll feed you, just kneel before the emperor. And they're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. And
then they murder them. And then like the king is converted, and like the people who murdered them are converted, and like all, you know, to me, that seems more like the real deal than like, oh, you know, I did this stuff and like some cool shit happened to me and I got rich. I'm like, that might be the bad people, because they tend to like help. Look at all the people who are in power. They're doing the evilest shit possible.
Yeah.
Like, so to me, like the more powerful you get, the more I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I'm kind of starting to vibe with the fact that the three of us here are, we're not the rich and powerful. You know what I mean? Like
nor would it be good for my health.
We're doing all right.
Yeah, and on top of that, like once you get to that rich and powerful status, like you said, it's the most twisted shit that's being done, because all they have is nothing but time on their hands. And once you get so bored of doing certain things, you start to get a little bit more twisted. And then once somebody else rises to power or fame and has that money, they're like, hey, you want to see what we can do? And you like, no, they're okay, well, you can die too. So like, there's no way around the circle unless you want to be recruited for evil. And that's what majority, if not all of the people who really hold power in this world have done.
And one of the biggest threats to me that I have witnessed personally, one of the biggest challenges is being faced with possibly losing everything you have. The more that scares me, the more I'm like, okay, I'm still too attached to this material stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this world is about detachment.
And that's where you see some of those people, like the politicians and the people who run these corporations and everything, like the biggest problem that they have, and that's why they're always into these policies that make other people pay for the stuff that they believe in.
Facts.
Is because for them to give up one of their mansions instead is like, what? Yeah. And that wouldn't even do that much. Well, I don't know, because like I go back to the Bible and the like the publican and the Pharisee, and then the woman, the poor woman who gives all she has. And then you have the publican and the Pharisee. So you have the Pharisee who's like, oh, thank God I'm not like him. I'm not like a tax collector. And then the tax collector is there on his knees saying, Lord, have mercy. Forgive me.
Right. Well,
and who is
a tax collector? So
oh, was he really? I didn't even know that. Dang. Okay. All right. But it's that when you look at it and you're like, yeah, but I don't know, man. If I have to give this up, I might not be able to get my Starbucks.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, it's a sad world.
I got a long way to go if that's where I am. You know?
Yeah, it's a sad world if you give up a lot of your freedoms just for a vanilla bean frappe from like a vanilla bean from like fucking
it cost
Starbucks.
$15 fucking.
Yeah, that costs so much fucking money.
Bro, it's crazy.
But you don't even have to go to Christianity to get that lesson. Buddha gave up. He was a prince, and he gave up power and riches to find enlightenment. That's what he did. The lesson is sacrifice, and to again go to paganism. One of the, and I'm going, ooh, here's the secret, guys. Ooh, secret. And one of the secrets that are published, by the way, in witchcraft, in Alexandrian Gardnerian witchcraft, one of the first lessons you learn in the first degree. There are 3 degrees. One of the first degree lessons is you must suffer to learn. That's one of the primary things that you learn right out of the gate is and they tell you, if you want to achieve some kind of magical and mystical and religious freedom and some kind of magical and religious enlightenment, you have to be prepared to give completely of yourself. You have to be able to sacrifice not only what you have, but who you are. You have to be able to devote everything you are to spirit. And so that's in that religion. That's a spiritual truth. to go back to Crowley. Crowley was in our, he lived over 100 years ago, but in his day, he was very, very wealthy, came from a very wealthy family and wound up penniless. And the reason that he wound up penniless is because he sacrificed everything that he had for the what he felt was the next stage of spiritual evolution for humankind, and devoted all of his money into his publications, into the things that he did. Again, maybe not as extreme as the saints or what Buddha did, but he still gave up a bunch of shit, because that's a truth. That in order to achieve, you have to sacrifice. But we've kind of moved off of the topic.
Yeah.
You guys want to kind of bring it back?
But that's, I think it comes back to, again, if we're in this position that we're in right now, where there's some crazy shit going on, and you believe that the best way for things to get better is for you to take control and to start offing people or throwing them in prison or whatever, then you probably haven't sacrificed the way that you need to sacrifice to be able to recognize that okay, there's something deeper at play here, and this involves because I think some of that stuff is the people who are doing that stuff, they're suffering. And they are looking for something else, some sort of material way to satisfy that suffering. And it's not, that's why it keeps getting worse, is because it will not satisfy it. And there's something missing. So as we get into this, the backlash, the left right pendulum swinging back and forth, and the power paradigm, we can merge back onto the interstate of the main topic of the show.
Can we talk about how they want to fuck our money up real quick?
Can we talk about one other topic, and then because it's directly related, and then get to CBDC? I do want to get to CBDC, but the other primary topic that I wanted to talk about as it relates to this is crime. And because right now, across the country, everybody's noticing that there's crime. I want to tell another story about work and make a point. So last week, a guy that I work with, his car, somebody just drove up in a car and got out, took a hammer and beat his back window out.
Damn.
In our parking lot. He was parked in front of me too, so it scared shit out of me.
Where you work?
Yes.
Okay.
So they busted his window out, right? And people asked him, hey, because we went and watched it on video, because like I said, we got all kinds of cameras at work. And we were like, hey, did you piss some girl off? He's like, I'm married, I got a kid, and she's good with me.
I'm just
and he was like, no, I didn't. I don't know what it was. Well, it turns out that it was just somebody that had worked where I work, like in the warehouse. Their mom had gotten shitty because they got fired because they weren't good people, and because they got fired. They were bad people, and that's why they got fired. And so anyhow, so she got shitty and just chose somebody's, and this guy happened to have a Crown Vic or something like that, and so it was a decently nice car, and they walked up and just smashed his back window out, thinking he was somebody.
Look, if we gonna do some crime
in his Corolla,
why not throw a hammer at the building instead of choosing some random person's car? Go towards the building.
Nicco reminds you sound like the shit, in Holy Grail when they go and fight the castle. They're hitting the castle.
For sure. But get this shit. So it cost him the back window to get it fixed cost him $175. Get a whole new back window. Yeah. And when he's talking to the police, right? Because he talked to the police, which I don't advocate for talking to the police, and this is why. But the police encouraged him not to press charges. Because all that it's going to do, and this is a paraphrase, but close to a quote, all it's going to do is they're going to get maybe a $500 fine for doing it, and he'll get no money because in our society, we do not make the victim whole. What we do in our society is we give the state money, and this lazy ass cop didn't want to have to do his job.
It's just like the family court system too.
Right.
It's the same thing where they're like you pay your child support so that we can take our cut, and
Right.
It doesn't matter because I've got the guy that we watched the game with, Nicco, he's got like this situation where like he's still having to pay for stuff with his kids that he had with his previous wife, and they're like rich. They own like a company. They have like more money than they can possibly imagine, and they're still like they'll nickel and dime him over some bullshit. And he's like, bro, I'm like really trying to just pay my bills here. There was a stretch of time where he was like living in his car eating peanut butter, like he would eat a jar of peanut butter over the course of a week. That was his meals for every meal.
That's critical.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just that kind of stuff happens, but that's so that it goes back to it's that same that sort of reactionary deal that where what are they doing? They're doing the thing in like San Francisco and New York City where they're letting you steal shit out of CVS and everything else.
$1,000.
Yeah,
but it's also like I think some of that stuff, just like anything else, like you were talking about, like people are recognizing crime more. Well, are people recognizing crime more, or is crime being put in front of us more in the media? Because like I'm not saying that there's not like an uptick in crime. There probably is, but I wonder if it's kind of like some of this white on black, black on white type stuff.
To
and the police brutality stuff. Yes,
to fill it more into our society, so we think, oh, it's crime time. Like
right, no. like if they tell you that like, oh, another snake bit somebody in Louisiana, like another, and then you look at the stats and it's like, oh wait, so like when the train derailment in Palestine, you know, Ohio. It was like then they started saying that's another train derailment, and then you go look at the stats and it's like they made a big deal about 5 of them over the course of 2 weeks. Yeah, and then you go look at the stats and there's 1,000 train derailments every year. That's 3 a day.
Right.
So the fact that they showed us 6 over a 4-week period is not something out of the blue. It's
just what they had contained, so everybody can start panicking. Oh shit.
There you go. So it drives that reactionary mindset that people have because we're like little retarded dogs who we're like squirrel, like whatever shiny object they wave in front of us, we're gonna go run after it and get either super worried. And that's why, again, I go back to like the stuff that I've told my wife about, like, listen, we can either pray to like the God of the universe, or we can pray to the God of worry. And we can focus on things to be scared of, or we can not and focus on the things that are actually going to help us.
The same shit with the number counter. When Mama Vid first popped up, and they're like, "Hey, look at these numbers, everybody! It's still ticking every second. There's somebody else. There's a gun. There's a gunner. There's a gun." No.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But again, all of this is set up so that the eventual crackdown. Because what are people going to ask for if they've built, regardless of whether it's real or not? Whether doesn't matter. They've brought this idea that now everybody's being criminals everywhere, and that you got criminals in the street. You got all
sales and marketing 101.
Right.
Fear motivates people way more than joy, happiness, and fulfillment.
For sure.
And then what you do is you're like, hey, you're afraid. Guess what? We're just going to add another engine booster to the apparatus and another gizmo to the apparatus.
Correct.
And it'll just hammer the criminals to death. And then you'll be happy, right?
Yep. And that's why you're going to see Republicans across the country going to be, we're hard on crime. We're hard on crime. Back the blue. All that shit is going to come out in force. Get ready for it. And the reason, in my opinion, is because the powers that should not be, They don't want, this is going to surprise people. I detest communism. I think communism is awful, but it is not the kind of totalitarianism they want, because with communism, there is an assumption you're going to get some shit. You're going to have free education. You're going to have a free
health care.
Yeah. You're going to get free shit. With fascism, you don't get any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
With fascism, with the right form of on the right side of totalitarianism, they don't have to give you shit, because Republicans believe in the law, and they believe in
law and order. Yeah.
Right. And taking care of yourself. They say they believe that. Well, you're going to have to, because they're going to have all of the power of a full-fledged police state by the time this trans shit and by the time this law and order bullshit gets pulled off. They're going to have put enough people into power to roll out a full-on police state. And that's what they're aiming at, because they need to state to get their technocracy. That's the goal. Is technocracy.
So that's what I was going to say. I think to nudge back a little bit on that, I think that it's more likely that the threat of the police state comes in, and then the next backlash against that is going to be like what they did with the magic virus, where they do their whole enforcement mechanism comes through. Watch this. This is going to be a beautiful segue. Comes through corporations, money, and like whether or not you can do stuff, whether or not you can go to this event, whether or not you can get into this store, get on that airplane, travel at all, whatever, all that kind of stuff is going to be the way that they enforce this stuff through what, Nicco?
That new credit, what the fuck? The goddamn it, you can't do this. Yeah, the CBDC, where they want to take your money and everything's about to be cashless. And then not only everything's about to be cashless, they'll be able to monitor everything you do. Oh, wait, not just everything you do, who you talk to. So you talk to the wrong person, and it has nothing to deal with your money. You can't even do certain things no more. And welcome to the social credit system, everybody. It's here.
For sure.
Yes.
I think you guys are absolutely correct.
DEI, ESG. That's the where you have your environmental and social, and what was the other one? What's the G?
It's environmental for your carbon, your social for who you interact with.
Right. And then G is
would it be
government?
No, I can't remember.
It's Googleable, ain't it?
Yeah.
Ain't it Googleable?
So there's ESG, and then there's DEI, which is the diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff. So like all of that stuff is going to be kind of like part of what builds what ends up being your social credit score. But so I think it's going to take a while to get rid of cash. Cash is going to be around.
Oh yeah, it's going to be circulating for a second.
Because there's some places where I'm still like, there's still places that like they'll give you a discount if you use cash. Some places don't even accept.
The gas station does that.
Like even at like I'll go to some of these places like at the airport, they have like the little parking stations or whatever that they only accept cash at some of them, and they're like, you have to go to this one if you want to use a credit card, and those sorts of things. So it's going to take a while for this stuff to really turn, because you have a lot of places in rural areas and even some in non-rural areas where like the conversion to this sort of thing from cash is going to take a while. It's just going to take a while. The next couple of generations after us are going to be much more easy to push that stuff through on, because they're already like, why would I carry money around? I can just Venmo you. I can cash app you.
I got a tip in my arm.
Well, yeah. I'm saying, and they're also like more apt to accept that
being digital or just digital and straight.
But there's some stuff that we've been talking about in the Bitcoin Mystery School group that is actually kind of exciting. I can't talk about it right now because it's kind of, we have all sworn to like ruminate over the summer over it and like let it kind of develop. But there may be hope may be on the way for some very clever ways to kind of use some existing systems to
maneuver
to maneuver, not necessarily making CBDC not happen or making it go away, but making it to where you can kind of maneuver above it and around it, and still keep still keep some of your privacy and
a fraction of my privacy after they done stripped down my house and I just got out the shower. If y'all give me a towel, I'll somewhat be comfortable, but still, it's still an irritating thing to deal with. It's about to change a lot of people's jobs and how they're about to move around. So, for example, servers get paid $10 an hour, and now, and it was basically off of tips, and I didn't have to report it. Now, servers are going to have to report everything that they get because it's going to be right there. They can't change or alter it unless you like a hacker and you're a good one at it. But like, this is really about to like skew how people are living, and even if you aren't the best person or not using clean money, guess what? None of this money that we're using is clean.
Well, that's what was always funny to me when people would talk about like Bitcoin and how like, you know, Ross Ulbricht and Silk Road, it was like there's drug deals and all this other stuff going down with it, and that's what Bitcoin makes it like. And what does the U.S. dollar do?
Right.
It also pays for all that same shit.
Right.
You know how many hits have been paid for with USD?
Right.
You know how many like tons of drugs have been bought with USD?
For sure.
You know, like get the hell out of here, man.
Right.
And then giving back to the same people just so they can collect the dollar.
Yeah,
Right.
but this is what's so funny about it is that it's always so banal that like these people like really will use an argument against something that they're afraid of, and the argument that they use actually explains the thing that they're defending.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
They're defending the state, and they're explaining like, yeah, but in anarchy, what are you going to do about murderers? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you do about them now?
Right. Let them
Like,
go.
They run the government.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you just call it different things.
Right.
Factual.
When you execute someone on foreign soil, that's not called murder. Because the government did it. It's like a wartime execution of an enemy combatant or some BS.
Right.
Like you just come up with all this complex language to describe something that's very simple. You murked a fool.
Moida.
Just
Right.
call it. You know,
Yeah,
like
for sure. Yeah, you got to give the devil, and I'm talking about the government because
It's
they're
props.
the devil.
You got to give him his damn props.
For sure. That motherfucker is good at what he does. Hey, man, it is what it is. This dude's good at it. He is good at fucking shit up.
I mean, it's the consistent manipulation amongst like, what are we doing? The back and forth with back the law, and like everybody's getting like overran with some idea, or I'm getting overran with the same or different ideology of, oh, well, everybody's starting crime. I might as well wait till my next riot, or there's another black person that just got killed. Like they're always like bombarding you with something, so you can always be pushing more than one side. So either when they let go or when everybody starts running this way to run you over, it's all out.
Well, that's part of, and like to Marcus's point of like setting up this whole episode, that's part of why we started seeing this year in 2023 all of these like black on white crime videos start to pop up.
What's next year?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
What's next year?
We had last year was Post the Yellow Square. That was or was that late 2021?
That was late. That was
2021 because it was right after Biden got inaugurated. Yeah. So that was 2021. Yeah. So 2022 was what? I don't remember. Did we get anything?
No. 2022 is the blue flag, right?
Oh yeah, that was the Ukraine.
Yeah.
The
blue flag. Now it might be
the blue and yellow. Yeah.
Might be a green with red. Our dollar on fire.
We'll find out what they're gonna do.
But it's and so just to if you want to see like this whole conversation encapsulated in one very simple scenario, remember when they had the trans shooter at that school?
Yeah.
What did all of your political pundits on the right immediately run to? Red flag laws.
Yep.
They wanted to take guns away from mentally ill people.
Right.
And it's like, oh wow. So
now you're
when it comes down to it, y'all are going to tell the government, hey, Mola and Labe on them.
Right.
go and take it.
Whatever
the Greek is or Latin or whatever the hell for go take it from someone else. That's what they were saying.
For sure.
And it's just it plays right into the hands. It's like, hey, what can we do to make the 2A people say, no, we should take guns away from people based on some arbitrary criteria? And oh, by the way, they have this new, I don't remember where it is. I saw it somewhere recently that there's this state, and it's a state that's normally like a reddish purple state that has in their red flag law stuff where it's like, it'll be spouses, co-workers, and either spouses or significant others.
Thinking that was
so like,
Florida.
could you imagine? Yeah, I think it might be Florida. That's why I'm saying like it's not Illinois or you know, I don't know, Delaware or something where you're New York, California, where you'd be like, oh yeah, well of course. No, it's somewhere that it should not be happening. If you believe those people and their politics is what they say it is. But yeah, it's like, could you imagine? Just think of the crazy women that you may or may not have like dated or anything like that. And like that bitch gets to tell the government whether or not you should have a gun.
Take his shit.
What? Dude, all I gotta say, going back to the fucking like what you were talking about earlier with the fucking parental law shit, my brother-in-law. Yeah, my brother-in-law, that bitch that he was with, he had a bunch of kids with her. That bitch that he was with, and to be clear, he's with my sister-in-law now, who's awesome. Her name's Valerie. But the bitch he was with before, he kicked a teddy bear, and she fucking took his kids away from him. Took his kids away because he kicked a teddy bear. Don't think that shit ain't gonna happen. If that bitch can get your shit, she will.
Did the teddy bear have a toddler connected to it?
Yeah. No. Literally, she went to court and got him to where he cannot see his kids because literally he kicked a teddy bear.
Well, I mean, we know how it's skewed against the men.
It's very skewed against the men in the court system.
Well, because if you think about it, like think about let's.
What they want to do, what they want to do with it. Yeah,
like they want to extract money.
The men.
Correct.
And the men are the earners. Yep. And so like, okay, so here's the scheme. All right. So we take the kids away from the men, the women get to have the kids. So the women get to keep like instructing and, you know, indoctrinating the kids, but we get to keep taking money from the man to pay for them. And we won't give it all to them. We're going to take some.
We'll keep about 25%.
I mean, we gotta have our little cut. Like this stuff, freedom isn't free, okay, people. So yeah, it's
it all
when you're running a money racket. When you're running a money racket, it doesn't make any sense to give the kids to the dad and then be like, "Nah, you got it. We don't need to get any. We don't need to collect any money from you." Like, no.
I was on both sides of this. I'm not going to use the round numbers, okay? I'm not going to, because people will be like, you should have paid more or you shouldn't have paid less or whatever. Right. I got.
Oh yeah, you're in that.
I was in this. I had 2 kids that I received child support on, right? I received child support on 2 kids. I paid child support on 1, right? To a male, it was $10 more for 2 than she got for 1. Yeah, same shit. And they'll say, but maybe you made more. Nope. That was not the case. My ex that I was paying to made vastly more money than I did at the time.
Well, you remember what Brian said? He said he was in child support court, whatever, family court. And he started trying. He thought it was his turn to talk to make his case. And the judge was like, nobody asked you to talk. How much do you make?
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much it. It was just like, that's
Yep.
all we need. All we need from you is, do you have a job and how much money do you make?
Yep.
Because that's how we're going to determine how much of that you have to give up.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a formula. That's what they'll tell you. All I know is that on 2 kids,
so this
I paid
system,
$10 more.
Yeah, so this system is going to take
I got $10 more.
ex-girlfriends who will key up your car and, you know, gash up
Molotov cocktail your shit.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. And like, even like, I mean, I'm sure there's some crazy dudes or whatever, but like, let's be honest, like the exception proves the rule. By and large, this red flag law stuff that where you're pulling X's into it is going to take more guns away from men.
Yep.
And it's going to empower more psycho ex-women to, I don't mean ex-women. I know we were talking about that kind of stuff earlier. We're not talking about that right now. I mean like female exes. Anyway, it's going to empower more of them to just be like, oh, all right,
well, time to get my get back.
I'm gonna get that ass now.
Right. He loves his guns.
I'm gonna run up in your crib, take your TV. Like and it's gonna incentivize men to just start being more illegal at that point, getting ghost guns and shit, and then you get more reason to lock them up for a longer time, shit like that. So like, they're like closing the allowance on like men being able to do more things, I would say, and not just men but family members and things of that nature. It's like a closing grip where you're not able to necessarily have your own anything.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this is the state. This is just what the state does. You know, as an example, because you're on to something, Nicco, it is families they're after. They wanted, you know, when tables turned a few years ago, and my oldest boy decided to be a dumbass and decided to take some fucking brass knuckles to school like a moron. Yeah. Right.
Well, maybe he
was
worried that priest was going to be there.
No, he was trying to be cool. But when he did that, did the fucking welfare office think it would be good to just let me know? No, they tried to get me to come after her ass. They tried to get me to come after her because like it's her fault that he was a dumbass. Right. No, they tried to have me go after her because they knew that it had been years since we signed our agreement, and I'd be if I was a dickhead, I'd be trying to get my payback, right? And I'd be asking for more than the amount of money that I paid for her, or that I paid to her for him. They wanted me to reverse that script and get more money so that they would get a larger percentage. Right. So again, this is the state. This is what they do. They destroy families, and what is being set up in front of us right now is people are going to, because the dislike for what they're doing with the transgender agenda, not with transgenders are just people, but the agenda that they're trying to force people into, that shit, what they're doing is they're getting people to defend their faith. They're getting people to defend their values. They're getting people to defend what is good and wholesome.
Defend their children in some cases.
Right. They're using good to upraise evil. And that's the problem that we have when we're watching them push this stuff back to the right, because come on, it's hard to defend communists. It's really hard to do. Right. It's not hard to defend a conservative, because most of the time they want less government. They want firearms, in your hands. They want, at least that's what they say. So it's hard to fight against that and point to where it's being used for tyranny. And they know that.
So Nicco has to go to the bathroom. So let's talk about him while he's not here. No, I'm just joking. I was going to try to put up a different, because I want to change. See, now we have the little thing whenever we step away and it's like me dunking. I want to change it to me and Nicco. And one day we're going to have it to where like it's going to be the three of us in a picture together. But at least we can have two of us in a picture. But I want to change that profile picture to that for this.
Cool.
Whenever somebody goes off cam. But I want everybody to like listen to what Marcus said about when he was offered that option, that opportunity to go for another pound of flesh. That's the takeaway to me. That's the takeaway for this whole episode, and why we did this is to take that higher road, to not fall into the temptation of when the state weaponizes someone against you, to let them weaponize you against that person in return, because that's the only way that this cycle stops. The cycle doesn't. It's just like, I mean, how many times have we seen the movies or the TV shows or whatever? We've read it in books where like there's either two warring families or gangs or whatever it is, and it's like, man, like half your block is dead because y'all decided that y'all wanted to just keep, oh, they killed Pookie. Oh, so we got to go kill this guy. Well, then they killed it, and it just ends up in this like back and forth retaliation game. And that's why we're where we are, is because in the politics thing, the red blue is a perfect example of that, where like that's why the apparatus keeps growing, is because it's the same as that gang warfare or that family, the Montagues and the Capulets, in Romeo and Juliet, where it's like, well, we're gonna kill this person. Okay, well then we're gonna kill this person. Well, we're gonna kill this person.
It's
you end up with this
cycle.
Yeah, or like
cycle.
like the outsiders, the socias and the greasers or whatever. It's that same thing where the cycle will never end until somebody decides that they're not gonna go after the pound of flesh.
Absolutely.
They're not going to seek revenge. They're not going to retaliate. They're not going to fall for the temptation to get some get back. And that's what, to me, that's like the biggest takeaway from this. Yeah. Why they got to be Pookie? I don't know, man. I was just like, there it is. That's it. Yes, indeed. Oh my gosh. That was awesome. That's perfect. Oh man, what a setup! I didn't even know he had that loaded. Holy shit!
Hey, you know what? I was gonna say, as a black person, I don't know nobody named Pookie, but I have an uncle named Pookie, so never mind.
Dude, you're fantastic. Oh man, cool. And that's actually what my dad used to call my sister. So like that was his little term of endearment for his daughter. So anyway, she never got shot.
I want to pull out of the gang warfare, and I want to kind of go back to where we should be. And I want to put this, and I'll read it. I want to put this quote up because I think this is what we need to know more about. This is Mahatma Gandhi. When I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love has always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time, they can seem invincible. But in the end, they always fail. Think of it. Always. So that's where we're at.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you believe in God, if you believe in freedom, if you believe in what is good in this world, then you have to believe. You have to. It's required that you believe the good wins. Mm-hmm. That the good, it may not be in this lifetime. I buy that. I buy that goodness wins after we die. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm on board. But we win. The good guys win. Mm-hmm. And I just believe. And if I have faith, that's what I have faith in. I have faith. When talking with my brother-in-law Aaron's dad, Aaron's a Seventh-day Adventist minister, and his dad he gets it honestly, and we were talking, and I said, one of the things that goes on is people want to throw doctrine at me, and he knows that I'm weird, and I said people want to throw doctrine at me, and I'm like, you know what? God knows what I think. God knows where my heart is, and what will be funny, and I told him this outright. I said, what will be funny is when other people have fallen off that ladder that Chad was talking about. I didn't say that, but that when other people have fallen off that ladder that Chad had up earlier, he'll look over to the side and there I'll be, because God knows where my heart is. And my heart is in God's hands. And I pray every single day to be a tool for God's mercy, for God's glory, every day, regardless of what my personal beliefs of how that works and all of that, because God knows who I am. And so I have faith in God that this works out. So I'm going to do what those, I hope to never have to do what Chad's martyrs did. Believe me, I'd be much happier doing what Crowley did. Give up some money. Here you go. I don't need that money shit. But I'm willing to suffer whatever it takes to prove that. And I hope that it's just being me. But whatever God needs me to do, that is what I'll do.
That's on Bob. That's on God. That's like the realest words you could ever say. Like, especially in times like these. Like, even though we will all see certain things going down, and it's going to like incentivize you to feel more negatively than positive about the whole entire situation. As long as you keep giving to a higher power, and he/she will feed you whatever you need. So it's like, don't have despair. Don't sit in Twitter and watch all the news outlets and feel some type of way.
Right.
The only shit you can do is take care of the shit that's around you. That's it. That's all.
Facts.
Amen.
Yeah, you don't try to control shit you can't control, or you shouldn't be trying to control. And there's plenty that I know that I'm failing that I can control, that I have too much work to do on myself to worry about, trying to control other people and control situations that are way outside. And that's again, back to that thing we were talking about with like how I see all these people, and a lot of them I respect them, but I just feel like they're getting pulled, they're getting, yanked around by their feelings, to people posting all these videos and pictures and, whatever else about like, look at what Target's doing. Like, all right. Like, are you buying that stuff? Are you going and standing in front of the displays with your kids? I mean, you want to not shop at Target? That's cool. Like, do your thing, whatever. But like, I got enough stuff that I need to do for me that I'm not like worrying about like what Bud Light's doing and what, you know what I'm saying? Like there's plenty of who was it that was, maybe it was Shamika Michelle or somebody was talking about like, were we supposed to already cancel Target? Weren't we supposed to already boycott a Target like 4 times?
Right.
Y'all still hadn't boycotted it. Like, so like some of this stuff, and then I'm hearing people saying they're going to boycott Target for the month of June.
Just
like,
the month?
Like, yeah, like
just the month.
Y'all sound like those people that are not going to get gas tomorrow.
Right.
Like, you're going to get gas the day after tomorrow, though. What the hell are you doing? It's like, and look, I know everybody has their own feelings about Rush Limbaugh and everything, but this shit was pretty funny. He said when people would talk about that, about boycotting the gas stations or whatever, it'd be like when you were a little kid and you would like threaten your parents that you were just be like, like, I'm not gonna breathe. Like, you took a big old inhale before you stopped breathing,
Right.
and then when you run out of oxygen, you're gonna be breathing in and out a lot after. So like, unless you're gonna hold your breath forever, eventually,
either you passing out. You're passing out, or you go be like, you know what? That was my bad. That was a dumb idea. So sorry.
Right. We boycotted Target, Disney, Netflix. I'm pretty sure everybody who boycotted Target, Disney, and Netflix is gonna watch a documentary about Target on Netflix and is gonna go to Disney so they can protest the Little Mermaid being black or something. I don't know. Like, it's
the thing is, I don't get me wrong. I'm not going to drink Bud Light. And you know why? Because I'm not going to drink beer. I have gout.
I don't drink Bud Light anyway.
Right. But I agree with Luke from We Are Change. He said his problem with it had nothing to do with trans shit. It had to do with they were pushing shit because the only people that watched that fucking loser that they had on there was little kids. And so they're pushing beer to little kids. Again,
I didn't know little kids were watching Dylan Mulvaney stuff.
Yeah, what adult do you know that watches that stupidity?
Wait,
I don't know.
Wait. Let's be honest. Let's be a buck. Let's be real about this.
Yeah, like for real.
You know how
a bunch
often
of them,
I see
they all show up on my timeline.
a grown ass adult sitting down watching some really stupid ass reality TV show.
Sure.
Hey, I call a spade a spade. Somebody grown enough will sit the fuck down and be like, "Wow, this is a good show."
You're right. But yeah, for me, no, I'm not a fan of Disney. I haven't been a fan of Disney because they have awful fucking policies as it relates to intellectual property. I personally don't believe in intellectual property, but they're awful at it. So no, I don't deal with Disney much. But those are my choices, and it had nothing to do with whether they were pro or anti-gay. I don't give a fuck about that shit. Again, Netflix, they're wanting to charge $20 a fucking month for some bullshit.
Oh yeah, you're sharing our password too much. You're sharing our password too much. We don't like that. So if you can't sign into that Wi-Fi,
they came with the hammer. They're like, if you're not on the same Wi-Fi, you can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I'm in a hotel. Like,
you feel me?
My account. I'm traveling. Like, I can't watch my own Netflix on here.
I was thinking about what about all the kids that are like,
I'm not even boycotting
stationed somewhere else, and their family's home is in like Idaho, and they all the way in Germany, and be like, shit, I guess my mom, can you send me the password? Did you make another one? Like, they're really messing with everybody's bread and coin when knowing damn well they had majority of the media market cornered.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, I think the problem again is that all of this issues get resolved if the market can decide. The problem is we have people that are manipulating the markets. They're sending them money, whether from one side or the other. And if we would just get government out of these markets, then they would take care of themselves, just like they're about to with Target. Let's just be clear. Target's going to take a hit. And the North Face, I don't have any idea how North Face is going to survive this.
I don't. Yeah.
Wait, how many companies are facing backlash? And then technically, what are they facing backlash for? I don't know. I'm not privy to it.
North Face is, I'm sure you know what North Face is, and their clothing and whatnot. Well, they have come out full trans. They have a whole trans like that. Yeah.
Yeah. They have like a trans line, right? But kind of like Target.
I think
it
started like mid last week or a little bit earlier, because Pride Month is in like a couple of hours,
right?
So
we're calling it Strong Dad Month, and that's what we're doing. We're just going to start doing workout videos of the dads. That's what we're going to go with.
Gut going on.
There you go. That too. I mean, that works. Whatever makes you happy. All right.
Technically, it is Father's Day right before my birthday. So like, you're completely omitting the fathers once again, because we're going to do the same-sex marriages. And, same-sex marriages don't tend to really have the reproduction fact. Let's get it.
I got it.
Let's get it. Nice. But think about it. Like, that is interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I have to give props to my wife, because my wife set out, because I had made a legitimate bitch that in our society, Mother's Day is like hallowed ground, but Father's Day, you're like, Father's Day, everybody drink a beer. Okay, we're done.
No, check it out. Here's the thing. Like, so Mother's Day, I'm out. Like, I smoked lamb, 2 racks of lamb. I grilled some fish for my mother-in-law. I was in the kitchen all day, like just cooking it up and cleaning up everything. I let them just lay out on I guarantee you, when it comes to Father's Day, I'm either going to have to eat some shit that they want me to eat, or I'm going to have to be on the grill myself again. If I want like a steak, I'm gonna have to do it.
Yeah, but I have to give props to Amber, man. She has done it for years now. This will be the 3rd year running. Has made Father's Day a big damn deal in our family.
That's good.
And I think that that other than Christmas, Father's Day is probably the most well attended high holiday.
That's true. Yeah, y'all. That's true. Y'all do
y'all have a different bonding experience. Hey, Chad, I think you should voice your opinion a little bit. Hey, honey,
has your family ever gone? Has your family ever gone on a cruise without you on Father's Day weekend?
No.
I'm not a dad, but I'd be damned.
I know.
That was what was that? 2018, I think. 2018. I was.
Oh, you were at the crib by yourself, huh?
I was at home by myself. Now I got to hang out with my dad and my little brother, and we did that. But I've never been on a cruise, including that one. But my wife and my mother-in-law and my kids got to go, so they love when I bring that up, because I'm just joking. Like, I didn't give a shit. Like, it was fun. Right. Like, I had a fun weekend. We got to go watch a baseball game, together, and we went to breakfast with my dad. We went to Waffle House. I mean, it's just like it's one of those things where like we're simple people. I really enjoy that. I mean, look, on a certain level, I was a little bit I definitely was staying up late watching movies on like full blast. Like, I had like Star Wars or some shit, like just blaring the speakers, because I had like surround sound and everything. Like, I was getting after it, but it was I'm a simple person. I don't need a whole lot. Like, just give me some Star Wars where I don't have to turn it down to like where I can't hear the dialogue, and I'm good to go, which, by the way, I started rewatching when May the 4th happened, like I started watching and I was like, all right, I'm starting with the Phantom Menace. And I get there's legitimate complaints. Jar Jar is like kind of retarded, and like I wish they had done something better. I wish they had done a better job. Like, Darth Maul was such a cool character that they could have developed more and made him like that dude could have been iconic.
Agreed.
And they just
the
like
cartoons got him pretty good.
I know, but it's like if I have to go watch like 17 seasons of a fucking animated series to get the arc of a guy who could have been great in the movies,
I agree.
You fucked up, and you tried to like band-aid it together with like some freaking baling wire and duct tape. It's terrible. Anyway, there's a redeeming quality to, like, now that I've watched them through, and I'm like, oh, okay, so now like I can kind of see where Lucas was going with like how like the soul of Anakin Skywalker was manipulated, and how he ended up turning to the dark side, and then kind of coming back, and how there's a lot in that whole like large arc, and in some of the miniature arcs within it that are actually kind of cool, like lessons for like what it means to like really like deny yourself and to not let your emotions and your passions and your attachments bring you to the dark side and like end up destroying you. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm hoping that this Father's Day might be a little bit more I like to have my kids around. Yes, that's right. Tell him, Jimmy. But yeah, Darth Maul saved the Phantom Menace, absolutely. And he would have. I love that. That's good stuff. Man, where are you pulling these from?
Dude, you need to watch our fucking. I put that shit out all the time.
I know, but I'm saying, like, so I have a bunch of stuff, but all the stuff that I have that's cool is on my phone, and then I have to like send it to my computer. So that then I had to send that. First, I had to convert that computer. You can't use an iPhone picture on StreamYard, so I had to convert it to a JPEG, then send it to my laptop, then pull it up on the laptop. I have way more steps than you.
Yeah. All I got to do is upload it.
Yeah, you just upload it. That's bullshit. No wonder they left me home to go on cruise.
But yeah.
Oh shit. Oh man. No, but no, this was this was good. This was a lot of fun, and it's good to be back at it. It was great to be with you hanging out in person, Nicco, last week. That was
a blast.
For
the short time that it was lived, it was a blast.
I didn't know what to expect. Oh, so one thing I gotta just throw Nicco under the bus completely here. This punk shows up at the bar and orders a Stella Artois.
Oh my goodness!
Wait. What's a Stella Artois?
Now, a Stella. It's a beer, man.
It's a Belgian beer that was Bud Light before Bud Light was Bud Light. It's called Stella. Anyway, so no, but this is the funny part. So first of all, I'm clowning him for ordering a Stella. Then this fool pulls out a 20 and then asks the bartendress, how much is the Stella? I'm like, bro, what do you? And then I realized when we got to the game and we started ordering beers, like, oh, that's why you had to ask, because this beer is $21.
Right.
I know where I'm at.
Those beers were hella expensive, bro. Yes, exactly. See, he knows. See, Holden knows. Me and my boss said we were telling Nicco about the Marlon Brando, the Stella from a Streetcar Named Desire. Shout out to New Orleans. But yeah, that Nicco he didn't have any idea what we were talking about. We were like,
no, not at all.
For sure.
Yeah, that's
21. Yeah,
the Stella at the bar was only $8, and it was like right across from. It was like in the parking lot that Wrigley's in, pretty much on the same block.
It's a 2-second walk away from the stadium.
It was like on Addison, like right there at Clark and Addison, like right there on the corner, but like just down Addison a little bit from Clark. But anyway, when we got inside the stadium, that's where the $21 beers started coming out. You could get a $15 beer or a $21 beer.
I have a question though. Where else have they gone cashless, like in arenas and
Kings
stadiums?
Island?
Because you can't pay cash at the Cubs Stadium. You can't pay cash at the United Center. So Bulls and Blackhawks games, there's no cash. I don't know if it's at US Cellular, I think, or not US Cellular, whatever the new damn name is.
Yeah, so that it's funny that you say that, because remember during Magic Virus season,
all of our change disappeared.
No, but I'm saying during Magic Virus season, one of the first places that they started using the passport system was for events, and venues.
Yeah.
So the CBDC is going to probably be the same thing, where it's going to be like, hey, look, you want to come in here, you got to use it. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm saying, like, we're probably, Marcus, in a place in history where we are not going to have the luxury of being tortured to death and martyred.
Right.
We are going to be amused to death.
Oh, for sure.
Like Neil Postman said, like it is going to be like, hey, do you want Netflix? Well, then you're going to have this giant tranny cock shoved down your throat.
Pause.
You know what I'm saying? No, I mean, look, that's practically what it is. Like,
that's the reality of it. Hey, if you want to go,
hey, do you want this? Well,
hey, show us how much you down for the culture. Is you down for the culture?
It's right. You know, like when you go to watch something on YouTube and it plays like 3 ads before you get to watch the video that you want to watch. It's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like, well, first you have to watch this tranny porn.
You got 3 holes, don't you, buddy?
And then y'all saw Black Mirror, right? The one where they had to ride the bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
And they would just like pop up, and to skip the porn, you had to give
massive
up
pause.
Your credits.
6 bucks.
Yeah, I know, right? But to skip the porn, because remember at the end he's like, he doesn't want to see the girl that he loved, that he had like gotten to be really good friends with and really kind of fallen in love with, and was out there trying to save her when the whole thing, like, he doesn't want to watch her in the porn that they have enslaved her into. And so to skip it, he has to burn through his credits, but he already spent all his credits to get up on that stage. And so he just has to sit there and suffer through it. It's that's where this shit is headed.
You're right.
It's gonna be some stuff like that. We're gonna be like, hey man, do you still want to have this? Oh, it's great. All right. But yeah, do you want to, it's not gonna be you have to kneel before the emperor, or we're going to torture you to death and kill you. It's gonna be kneel before the emperor and call him your God, and we'll let you watch the next season of Ozark.
Correct.
And too many people are going to gladly kneel before the emperor so they can watch Marty Byrde.
You're right. And it's hard for me. I'm not watching Disney.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me. And the reason has nothing to do with Disney. It has to do with Marvel, and it has to do with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the new Mandalorian season, and I can't. I won't do it. And the reason is because I'm not trying to get other people to do any kind of stuff, but I've made choices in my own life, and they had too much programming, and I said, fuck that.
Yeah.
So I eliminated it and Netflix. And the reason is because they had too much programming, and it's not that the other ones don't have it, because they do. They're just worse. And so, I may eventually not be able to watch TV, and that'll suck, because I like watching TV occasionally. It's all right to think about nothing for a while.
Right. Yeah. Just let yourself kind of like take a breather. Like it's a way of like actually breathing for a little bit, where you're not like, so stressed out with all the crap that's happening and everything. But I know what you mean, because there was a little stretch there where they were threatening, first, like they had a stretch of time, and you can call me a sellout, whatever, I don't care. But they were requiring masks, and then later on they were requiring shots or a negative test or whatever, all that stuff to get into LSU sporting events. I mean, I'm a huge, born and bred, I'm a huge LSU fan. I went to my first LSU football game in the womb, because I was born in January. So my mom was like a good 5-6 months pregnant, in Tiger Stadium with me, you know? So it's in me, right? Pause. But when they came out with that edict, I was like, if I never go to another game, I'm fine with that. That I'm willing to give that up, because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And I know some other people who were like, I'm not getting that. And then they were like, hey, it's required if you want to go to LSU football games. And there were some of my daughter's classmates that were just like, yeah, but we can't go to the games if we don't get it. And she's like, I'm going to the games and I'm not getting it. Like, I haven't gotten tested and I haven't gotten a shot. Like, there's just, you got to find the little ways to outlaw your way through that stuff and everything. It's, and so, even though they required that stuff, when they stopped requiring it, I started going. I've been to a game or two, but both times it was somebody gave me tickets. I didn't buy the tickets. And I mean, I'll watch them on TV. I mean, again, call me a sellout, fine, whatever. I don't care.
You drew a line and didn't cross it.
Right. If there's going to come to a point where where my line is going to be like, you have to cross this line or you don't get to see this stuff ever again, I'll be like, I guess I'll never see it again then.
Same.
So, and that's where we all kind of have to make that decision for ourselves. And the more you can, I don't know, become less attached to some of that stuff, because Chicago is one of the wokest places.
Unfortunately, I have
Nicco.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
But there's a reason why they're doing the cashless stuff at Wrigley and at the United Center and stuff like that. Chicago's a real easy pickings place for that. Yeah. Lori Lightfoot was probably like balls deep in all the bullshit, Yeah,
for sure.
I say that on purpose because
sometimes they don't hide.
Right. Exactly. But it's no, you have to draw that line somewhere, and if it means I never get to go to another Cubs game or I never even get to go to Chicago and be in Wrigleyville again, so be it, But until they do that, I will not. I will still enjoy the things that I enjoy, Mm-hmm. So I still watch Star Wars on the. Yeah, I mean it's whatever, but I respect your line and.
Sure.
I just think that it's more so for the outside entertainment. You still probably be able to watch it at your crib for like a very, very short period of time until they figure out how to tax you on that.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
It's all about like outside enjoyment, the connection with going out, the experience, and take it away from you, because they know that the in-person experience is what's more attractive than somebody probably sitting down. Oh, you want to go to the movie theaters? I think you might as well just stream it on Netflix after you like.
Right.
So it's the monopoly game of money, how that's trickling down to one source, and they're going to monopolize your entertainment, so you can only use that one source. So,
well, they already talked about the IMF and there's whatever the other like governing agency within that they are working on their own like CBDC setup where it's going to be, it's either going to be the one that the member nations will transact in, or it'll eventually filter its way down to the consumer to where like everyday people will have it. But there, I wouldn't be surprised if they use that as the way to push all this other stuff in, because if you think about, all right, so Nicco was just talking about going to venues, having these experiences in person. Well, what if you don't have to have in-person experiences, but you can feel like you are, and artificial intelligence can help you do that. They'll just create your little matrix around you, and it'll feel like you're actually at the game. You'll be on stage with Beyonce.
Elon's chip in your head will tell you exactly what you need.
You might be in bed with Beyonce if you really pay enough, and if you really want it, and you won't know the difference between real and fake anymore.
Yeah, that is true.
And if you think about it, like, it's a great way of creating another one of those like Hegelian dialectic situations where it's like, all right, so there's real experiences, which you can do if you use the CBDC, or there's these other fake experiences, which you can do over here on the black market, and you have to plug into the AI VR goggles and all this other BS.
And either or they try.
And then, oh, by the way, they're going to backdoor the CBDC into that too. And so either way, they're going to get you.
They're going to trap you.
With all this shit, dude, I just become more and more a green anarchist every goddamn day.
I know, right? Like
I just want my farm, man.
And
I grow my crops.
And I wonder, like, how many people are just gonna like be like, yeah, it's cool. I'll plug into the Matrix. Yeah, of course I will.
Yeah, of course, a lot of people.
Of course I will. Why would I not? Like, are you kidding me? It's amazing. And they'll all there. It's going to be a whole bunch of like the guys like Cypher in the Matrix. Yeah. He's not like a I think that was one of those things where like part of him knew that it was some bullshit, but then the other part of him couldn't resist it, and it was that way all along. And he was just trying to fight himself until he finally got to that point where he was like, you know what, this is too much work, and I can't be a monk, so just plug me in. I don't care anymore. You know what I mean? Like, send me the hookers. I'm done being a monk. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's sad. The sad thing is there's going to be a lot of those people.
Mm-hmm.
The bright news is we grow every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every day. There is a new anarchist born every single day. Facts. He might be 27. He might be 52, but he's born every day.
Mm-hmm.
And once you go anarchy, you seldom go back.
Mm-hmm.
So, the bottom line is that I actually have quite a lot of hope. It's just not right now. I think we're aiming at hope that, and I've stopped thinking about what I'm doing as something I'm doing for me. I'm thinking about what I'm doing for my kids.
Factual.
And trying to hold back, or at least, grow this movement as much as I can, get people to just start thinking outside of the box. I don't try to convert people to be an anarchist. I just don't do it. I just present the information and let them draw their own conclusions. And because at the end of the day, if you're ethically consistent, you're an anarchist. So that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, guys, this has been a fun one, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And I think there was a lot here tonight. There was a lot of spiritual stuff we laid down, all three of us, that is really good stuff. And for those that made it this far, I tip my earphones to you, because this was a long one, but it was a good one. And these two gentlemen have, yeah, right.
I'll tip my tinfoil kufi to you.
That's right. These two gentlemen are the salt of the earth, and I'm glad that I get to present this with them at least once in a while, whether it's every week or every 2 weeks or however often we can get on here. That doesn't matter, because we bring the truth and we try to stay as humble as we can. And so, you guys ready?
Yep.
Sir.
Stay free.
Peace, y'all.